All right, we are back on the Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith. Carter, how you doing?
Good, man. I'm good. It's a nice little hump day Wednesday, middle of the week. Been kind of down and out this week with a little bit of a cold or sinus infection, something going on. So wasn't able to make it. And I took some NyQuil Sunday night, which I never take NyQuil or any kind of like sleep aids or anything like that. But I was just struggling. So I took it and I fell asleep at like halftime of the first Monday night game. And I didn't wake up. I'd already taken Tuesday or Monday off. So Sunday night, yeah, Monday I was already like, I can't do it. And I didn't wake up till like 1:30 in the afternoon. I was dead to the world. So that was Tuesday because we were going to go live Tuesday morning, whatever day it was. I can't keep them straight. But other than that, man, I'm feeling a little bit better. Still got a little sinus headache going on. But other than that, man, I'm good. I'm ready for get through the rest of this week, get to another football weekend, get ready to kick it off here. Still got plenty to talk about from last weekend and kind of the things that are going on so far. Got some exciting announcements about the show and kind of the growth of this platform and what we're doing. So we'll get to that here in a little bit. But other than that, man, how's your week going? I haven't really talked to you much.
Yeah, my week's going well. Just, watching the football that's been going on. We got the 50 some odd days straight. So,
Yeah.
same
And
old
the World Series starts soon. Does it start Friday? Is that? I don't remember, but and I really
Saturday.
don't care.
Saturday, I
Yeah.
believe.
And I really don't care. It's the Yankees and the Dodgers. I could care less who wins, but it's the World Series. I might tune in for a little bit.
Yeah, with football season being on, if the World Series gets compelling, I might watch game 6 or 7, even though I did play uh, baseball in high school.
Yeah, I played baseball pretty much growing up my whole life. But as soon as, dude, I just and not nothing against Yankees fans or Dodgers fans, although you guys annoy the shit out of me most of the time. But for the most part, oh shit, I don't know what I'm doing. But for the most part, they just annoy me. Like I'd rather not have that. But I'd rather have like some small market teams get in the mix. Like that. Obviously, the Indians are my team, so I'd love them to get a mix. But even like the Pirates or some of those other littler market teams that have a tenth of the payroll of L.A. and New York. I like when they're involved, and when you just have the Dodgers and the Yankees, and it's literally like just the two teams that spent the most money on players, other than the Mets. And the Mets were in the ALC or the NLCS. Like 3 of the 4 CS opponents were like the 3 largest payrolls in baseball, and it's like that's just annoying. Like it's not fun.
You gotta pay to play, and that is something the Pirates do not do. Bob Nutting
No,
is robbing the city of Pittsburgh blind.
but they can't have a payroll like the Yankees.
He's like the 9th richest owner in baseball.
Well, yeah, but it's also a business. He's not just going to operate at a loss every year.
Winning playoff games and having a full stadium, they looked like the White Sox at times. You can get
Well, yeah, no, you don't want to be the White Sox. Although the White Sox have a World Series in the last like 30 years, so that's more than the Indians and Pirates can say. But the thing is, like when you have a market like Pittsburgh or Cleveland, and Cleveland sells out their stadium almost every game, or did for a long time, it's still not enough revenue. You don't have the TV contracts that New York and LA have. And that's the difference between the NFL and the MLB is the MLB is ran by regional TV contracts that are different for each team. So like there's just no way for Cleveland to have $170 million payroll like the Yankees in a season. They don't generate that much revenue. But if you put a salary cap in place, if you put national TV contracts in place, if you do some of the things that other major sports leagues have done, then those markets can be competitive. But the players don't want salary caps, obviously.
no.
Because why would you? And the big market teams don't want salary caps or national TV deals because why would you? But
Right.
it's a whole different. That's a whole argument. But end of the day, it's baseball. There's a major reason why it's been on the steady decline, and part of it is regional TV and just there's no. I mean, there's parity, but like I'm sick of seeing LA and fucking the Dodgers and the Yankees all the time.
Yeah, I get you on that. So with that being said, let's kick off the football tonight.
Yeah, well, first let's get to some show news.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, so let's get to some exciting news for the show. Everybody watching out there, and if you're watching live, or if you're gonna rewatch or whatever, exciting news. We just kind of ironed out some details today. We are looking at doing some live shows at different venues across Indiana and Ohio. Our first one is on the books. Just got to iron out details of the exact time. But we are going to be at Cigario Lounge, which is a cigar lounge. It's in Hubbard, Ohio. It's a friend of the program, owns it, operates it, reached out to us. I was like, hey, if you guys want some, to do a live show here, we'll sponsor it. We'll sponsor the show, all this kind of stuff. So exciting news there. We're going to be there December 7th. So on Championship Saturday, where you'll have all the conference championships going on. We'll be there. We'll do a show probably for an hour and a half or so. And then we'll be there hanging out, just having some drinks, cigars, different things like that. It is, again, in Hubbard, Ohio. So 230 North Main Street, Hubbard, Ohio. Look it up. It's Cigario, Sigaro Lounge, Ohio. And so that's exciting. That's the first one on the books. We got another one we're playing with maybe in the next few weeks. It just depends on if it works out. But yeah, man, it's fun. I've been trying to get some things to go. And obviously, Richie joined the show, and that helped us expand it a little bit and helped connect us with some other people. And this is going to be fun, man. Like, if nothing else, I love cigars. I love bourbon. I love hanging out. I love watching football. So I would definitely be there having a cigar, hanging out, probably enjoy a couple bourbons, probably not too many, though. We got to be responsible, right? But I'll be there hanging out. We'll watch some football, chop it up. So anybody that wants to come out, that's going to be December 7th at Cigario Lounge in Hubbard, Ohio. Look it up. It's on Instagram, Google, all that stuff.
Right on. Then that's great news for the program. And before we get going, if you like this content, please hit the like and subscribe button and turn on the bell notifications so we can help grow this platform. Maybe we're coming to a city near you. But with that being said, we do have some Conference USA action going on tonight. We got Liberty taking on Kennesaw State. That game currently knotted up in Jacksonville State and Middle Tennessee have just kicked off as well. So we are into
Rich
this.
Rich Rod tonight.
Oh yeah.
Damn, Richie.
Are you wearing the same shirt? Yes. Yes, I am. It's called a laundry machine, Richie.
And first of all, before we get too much into it, first of all, Liberty, Kennesaw State, Jacksonville, whatever. I mean, that's cool. It's football. I'll watch it. And Jacksonville State, that's Rich Rod, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so cool. A little storyline there. He could be on his way back to Michigan here in the next few weeks. Who knows? We'll get into that a little bit later. But you guys were talking some mad shit last night, and I couldn't defend myself. I'm sitting there. I got kids, in the bathtub getting ready for bed. I'm trying to produce the show, and I missed some of the stuff y'all said, but you guys were talking some mad shit on there about me and some things that I maybe like or don't like or whatever. And I just want to set the record straight here. Y'all don't speak for me. That is 100% false. Whatever they say, do not listen to these fools when it comes to stuff they put on my name. They are lying. They call him Crying Ryan. This is Lying Ryan right here, Andre Duke.
Oh no. I only deal in absolutes, not if, buts, or maybes.
Oh, yeah. Well,
absolutes.
If and buts for candies and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas or whatever. And
so,
anyways, I just had to clear that up real quick. But yeah, we got some football action tonight. Was scrolling the social media today and found some interesting things that I've seen over the past few days. And one of them is Vanderbilt is going to put up some nets at their stadium to avoid what happened at the Texas-Georgia game last weekend. And I'll just put it on screen here, the announcement. But what do you think about this? I mean, do you think this is the answer?
Here's my take on the Nets. It's a wild and I think a very, very drastic measure to go through and do all of this. And just for the simple fact of, I get it, player safety, and it's just a wild. I didn't think it would come this far.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
And
I
also,
think, go ahead.
And also, they said the net is going to stay for the Tennessee game. And the AD says putting the net in front of the visiting section is just, I mean, this is what happens whenever you can't go to the stadium and act right.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's obviously what happened last weekend was polarizing. And this is what happens in today's society when anything is polarizing, is there's an immediate knee-jerk reaction to it, acting like it happens way more than it does. Because let's be honest, in the last, 25 years, I can only think of this happening 2 times. Once last weekend, and the other time about 25 years ago at Cleveland Browns Stadium during Bottlegate.
Yes. And
now, each time there has been repercussions from that. Bottlegate, no more lids on your bottles at games. You can't have lids because motherfuckers were screwing the lids on full beers and chucking them son bitches at the refs.
And
now we get nets.
And the thing with the whole netting business is that, you got to protect the kids and you got to protect the people that are on the sideline, like the photographers, the communications people that are actually down there doing a job. You got the cheerleaders down there, you have support staff, you have the associate ADs and all of for both schools that are down there. And you
don't want anybody to get hurt. I understand that. Let's be real though. Everybody down there is doing a job. The players are being paid now. They're paid players, so they're doing a job. Everybody's down there doing a job. I understand you need to make it safe. Shouldn't be that hard. Don't throw shit on the field. It's really not that difficult. My thing is, it screams to me like knee-jerk reaction. Like, this doesn't happen that often. Do we really need nets to prevent this from happening? Can't we just be like, hey, if we see you throw a bottle, we're going to arrest you and we're going to ban you from the stadium? And now, when there's 30,000 people throwing bottles, you're not going to get them all. But oh well, I mean, that doesn't happen that often. And my problem with the nets, I promise you, if they go to nets around the entire field, I will not go to another game, because it just there's already so many reasons not to go to football games anymore, just because it's so expensive. Parking's embarrassing. Like, it's just, the experience is awesome when you're in the stadium and it's a good game, but I can see the game better sitting on my couch with beer I bought for $10 instead of each beer costing $10. My own food, my own, like, I don't have to sit in traffic. I don't have to deal with 100,000 idiots and all that. Then you put nets up, and I don't care what anybody says. I've been to baseball games where you're sitting behind the nets, and no, it doesn't necessarily like impact your vision of the game, but it's there. You can see it.
Right.
And it's just but that's a safety risk for the fans. This is talking about providing safety for the players.
And
Like,
the on-field people as well,
mhm.
there was video from the Texas game that some of the photographers were shooting from their phone, and it was raining down, and it's just unbelievable that it's gotten to this. And
What-
and if
we
you're
gotta-
and if you're
yeah.
Texas, that you're hosting your first big SEC game at home. you know Mississippi State is what Mississippi State is, but you're
Yeah.
hosting your first big game at
Yeah.
home,
Mhm.
and this happens when a call
Yeah.
doesn't go your way. Like, you're not in the Big 12 anymore. And it was also in the SEC's letter that they said that they would remove alcohol privileges as well.
Yep. Yeah. Which, I mean, that would suck for fans, but I've been to plenty of college games before alcohol was served at them, and you just get loaded before you go in, and then you're good for the whole game.
Uh, and it just wasn't beer cans on the field either. It was
No,
water
there was
bottles.
Gatorades, water bottles, anything you could find. And I mean, geez, there's videos when it happened in Cleveland of refs dodging like Walkman radios back in
Yeah.
the day. Like, alcohol sales definitely doesn't help this situation because people are probably a little looser than they normally would be. But like, at the same time, there's been I believe there's statistics out there that there's been less like intoxicated fans arrested since they've permitted alcohol sales in stadiums, because people before, when there was no alcohol sales in stadiums, would drink ridiculous amounts ridiculously quick before they got in, knowing they couldn't drink in the stadium. Now people pace themselves more. So there's stats and everything on both sides. I get it, and I agree. Like, if it becomes a problem where it's not just a one-off game that it happens, if this is consistently happening, then yeah, you have to address that might be a cause. But at the same time, let's not act like this happens all the time.
It Yeah, it doesn't, but I get where the conference wants to avoid a problem before it becomes a problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, for sure. But I
they
mean,
just they just
here's what I think you do, and I'm obviously I understand that it's tough to enforce, and that's part of the reason the conference will go this route, because this is easier to put in place and protect people than try to enforce rules and things like that. But if you throw something and somebody gets injured, there's cameras everywhere. If I can
right.
pinpoint what bottle was thrown, where it was thrown from, now I can charge you with assault.
Yeah, and you hate to see something come to that.
Yeah.
It's just senseless, and people you
Yeah, it's
just
just stupid. Just don't do it. Like,
yeah.
I get it. I was pissed when the Browns, when that happened to the Browns. They were playing the Jaguars. It was to get into the playoffs. They reviewed a play after another play had been run, which you weren't allowed to do, still can't do to this day. Should have never been reviewed. And then the fans lost their mind about it. Now, in hindsight, what they reviewed was the correct call. It was called a completed catch. It was an incomplete pass. However, they called it complete, let them run another play, and then reviewed 2 plays ago. You can't do that. I'm sorry. Now, does that mean that fans should start throwing beer bottles at the refs? No, absolutely not. But, and I think the refs shoulder some of the blame.
Well, see, what happened is that when they called the bad pass interference call, people started
Uh-huh.
throwing shit on the field, and that
Yeah.
set the SEC. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they don't want to set that precedent to where if you want to call reviewed instead of a kid taking a dive, like in well, see the situation last night at the end of the UTEP Louisiana Tech game. There was a play that they had got a first down and he was clearly short. Well, it was under 2 minutes, and UTEP was going real fast, and it
Mm-hmm.
was fourth. It was a fourth down play. Well,
Mm-hmm.
instead of the replay booth buzzing down, a kid sat on the ground, and then they reviewed it, and it got overturned.
Well, I
So
mean, you gotta, yeah, that you don't want that either, obviously. But here's the bottom line: the pass interference call in the Georgia game was obviously wrong. However,
yeah,
it was called. It's not reviewable. So once you make the call, now they start throwing stuff. Okay, cool. Guess what? We got to call a timeout. Anybody throws anything, we're game's over.
hmm
But what you don't do is let them throw stuff for 5 minutes, huddle up as refs, and go, "Yeah, they're right," and you switch the call.
yeah,
That's just going to tell people, "Hey, if you don't like the call, you think they're wrong, start throwing shit."
yep.
Like you
I
can't do that. It's not a reviewable call. You made the call. Stand by it.
Yeah, and I think they huddled up, looked at the video board, and because
Yeah, you
Texas
can't do that. You can't
kept
do that.
and they kept replaying it, and they said, "Man, I guess we're just gonna have to pick up this flag to get this game a moving." So they picked up the
Yeah.
flag. Kirby absolutely loses his mind,
As
which
any coach would.
because that would be like them picking up a holding foul.
Yeah, you can't do that. You already made the call. It's not a reviewable penalty.
And
Like,
then
sorry, yeah, you can say later on in the press conference, I was wrong. They can submit it to the SEC, and the SEC can come back and say, yeah, they were wrong. We're going to coach them on it. But you can't change it after the fact. You just can't do that. That's first of all, it's not allowed.
yeah,
Second of all, it's rewarding poor behavior. and now
and
we're gonna have nets in stadiums because the refs couldn't stand by their call because they were worried that chaos was gonna happen.
and with anything, and I've been to plenty of night games. I've been to plenty
Mhm.
of NFL night games, been to night games in college.
Yeah.
I don't I'm not going to say that you don't open the lots earlier, but when college game day is going on and there's 50,000 people there in a random parking lot
Yeah.
outside of a stadium, what do you think they're doing? Cooking, grilling, drinking,
Mhm.
and you have a bunch of 18 to 21, 23-year-olds,
Oh yeah. But
getting
that's what makes college football great, anyways.
but I'm just saying it seems like every crowd is more hostile at night. LSU,
Oh, for sure. Hundred
LSU,
percent.
Florida, you've been
Everywhere I've
there.
gone. Yeah,
You
everywhere I've
know,
gone is way different in a night game.
and
But
I'm not saying that it's a Big Ten or SEC thing. I mean it happened in Cincinnati when they were throwing snowballs on the field when Sam Walsh got on the microphone and said, "This is Cincinnati. You don't live in Cleveland."
yeah, which is a ridiculous thing to say. That guy should be pelted in the face.
But
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 no, but
that
it happens everywhere. Like, but it doesn't. But like, I get what you're saying. All night game environments are different. And shoot, I went to a West Virginia Marshall game, which is a rivalry. I get it, but like that was a night game in Huntington, West Virginia. Probably 40,000 people there, and it was it was rocking.
oh
And
yeah.
there was people fighting and everything. But that's what happens in those environments. You don't go to those environments and not expect it. Shoot,
Yeah,
I was at LSU Florida game in LSU when they were putting batteries inside of marshmallows, throwing it at Florida players coming out of the tunnel. Like, yeah,
that
I'm sorry. That's just
that
part of the game.
oh no.
Ooh,
Yeah, I ain't gonna.
well, RIP. Don't talk shit about Cleveland.
Uh, but moving on.
Yes, anyways, that's enough about that. But I see both sides. I'm just saying, I promise you, if we get to a place where there's netting around football fields, I'm not going to games unless I'm on the field.
It's just my final thing on it is I get why they're making a drastic move towards it because no university wants that liability.
Yeah, what are they going to do? Andy upsets Texas this weekend, and the students climb the nets to get on the field, and some kid falls and dies. Then who's
Well,
responsible?
here's here's the other thing too. I mean, Texas got a fine. Vandy paid a fine when they beat Alabama. So
Yeah, well, because they broke
if
down
you
the goalpost, which you're not allowed to do.
and if you storm the field in the SEC, it clearly says it in their post on their official
Yeah,
Instagram. The
yeah, that's all fine and dandy until some 18-year-old freshman climbs the net to get on the field, falls from a high height, and dies. And all of a sudden, it doesn't matter. It says you can't storm the field.
and it's it's a liability thing, and but if you look at the picture, it's just right in front of the visitors student section.
Which is so disrespectful. I love it. Like, now our fans are good. We're not worried. It's you motherfuckers that are the problem.
Yeah, that's the wild thing because and then
But
also Vandy's AD said it's staying up for the Tennessee game too.
Tennessee
So
fans are crazy too.
but then again, when it comes to being a new school in the conference, you're on national TV. 12 million people watch that game. It's the highest rated game so far,
Yep.
and that is how business was conducted at the University of Texas. And I can see why the SEC has a new member and this happened. But also it wasn't like people were getting pelted either. Um,
Yeah,
it
and
was
and
At LSU, they were throwing those light up wristbands after they were done with them from the third quarter.
oh, I'm sure.
But
Well,
it
that's why
wasn't.
you're stupid to give any fan anything they can throw. Like, obviously, like bottles and stuff like that they purchase is fine, but like you give them like a bobblehead or something as they walk in, like motherfucker, that's a projectile.
Yeah, especially
Like,
with a highly drunk, angry crowd. But it was a
yeah,
select few that you would see them floating when Ole Miss scored a touchdown. They were throwing them at the
yeah,
the
and
kid that
that's just
scored the.
LSU, man.
But
They'll throw anything.
I don't think a net is going to stop like a wristband that's wee big. So
No, and I promise you, I got a good arm. I see nets. I'm going to watch me get this bitch over.
yeah, it's
But anyways, it is what it is. Hopefully, it doesn't become a commonplace in the sport. Hopefully, this is just a one-off. And let's not act like Texas fans are new to big games and bigger environments. Like,
right.
yeah, it's their first year in the SEC, but they've been playing in some high-profile college football games for a long, long time.
Hmm.
So this isn't like just because they're just joining. They didn't come from the Mountain West. Like, they were
Yeah.
playing high-level football for a long time before they got here. So this isn't anything to do with them being in the SEC now. They wanted a marquee win, obviously. The refs, they felt like, were not giving them their fair shot at that win. And they took matters into their own hands, and it worked almost. I mean, they still lost, but they got the call reversed.
Well,
But
the I get it. Instead of getting 50 million, they're gonna get 49.5 million.
yeah, whatever. Fuck it.
But if the SEC would have came out and said, "Yeah, we're gonna fine you $10 million," then that is a problem.
Somebody's getting fired. I don't know who, but somebody's getting fired if that happens.
So
But another thing I saw on social media, which is just, it's funny that this is what the comment that he went with. Obviously, Alabama fans, we've talked about it on Saturday. We've talked about it a lot. They're kind of in a blender right now. They're not dealing with the come down off of the high that was Nick Saban so well, but a lot of them have talked about some things going on. And so I saw this clip, and I want to throw it up here real quick. This is the offensive coordinator, Nick Sheridan, talking about what's going on the field, which, he's the offensive coordinator, so he should know what's going on the field during the offense's snaps. And so here's what he has to say, and here's what's going on.
showed Ryan and Jeremy pretending to shoot a basketball on the other side of the field. Is that part of the design of the play or just something spontaneous?
Yeah, you're talking about the quarterback sneak. Yeah, I don't know. There's nothing on the field that we're not coaching. So that's how I answer that.
TV brought.
Wild.
Okay.
So you're coaching them to take fadeaway jumpers during a play?
Okay. Now, this has been the last 2 weeks, the last 3 weeks. Coach DeBoer has been in a blender. It started the second half of Georgia, compounding into Vandy, compounding into South Carolina. It is I'm not going to say the inmates are running the asylum. I'm just gonna go out on a limb
Those are
and
two
say
different things. Just so I've heard you say that saying a couple times, and just so we're clear, asylums usually have patients, right?
Well, okay.
Inmates are in prisons.
Okay, all right. Now that we have that cleared up, patients. Well, what I'm saying,
you can go either way, but
what I'm saying is that somebody's got to rule the roost and rein this in, because Minister Sports put out a clip today of the Malachi Moore just taking a play off when he was unblocked in the hole to give up a touchdown, which was a pretty big touchdown. I'm sure DeBoer is probably thinking, man, I Washington don't sound too bad right now, or anywhere else. But, when you took this job, you knew what you were getting into. And Alabama has not lost consistently in 17 years. So the whole time Saban's been there,
he went like 7-6 his first year.
But that was year one.
Yeah, this is year one. Now, he took over a completely different program.
Exactly.
And they lost the entire time. What's his face was there before him, the coach's son.
Mike Shula.
Mike Shula, yeah.
And Shula was a disaster at Alabama. Yeah. And if you just go down the rungs, it wasn't good for, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, but then they got Saban, and he had a down first year, and then they obviously went on their run. And obviously, DeBoer took over a completely different program than what Saban walked into.
And he is when it comes to this, in my opinion, in my speculation on this, he is in the worst. He is in the worst spot, the worst opportunity. It is a no-win situation, because even when he beat Georgia, everybody was saying, "Well, Nick wouldn't have let him come back," and it's just like, well, what do you do with that?
Here's what I'll say. It's a famous quote from I believe it's from Mad Men, the TV show. Buddy, that's what the money's for.
But I understand that.
If you can't handle it, don't take the money.
And
I'm sorry, you knew what you signed up for.
In which, Alabama fan is going to freak out no matter what. They are going to freak out no matter what. And with the rise of message boards, and some message boards are looser than others, it's open season on coaches right now.
Yeah.
And the criticism is not, I wouldn't say it's not unwarranted, but the shooting the fadeaway jump shot, Malachi Moore at Vanderbilt,
Malachi Moore at Vanderbilt, and then he takes a play off.
And you really got to rein this in, because if you don't stop it now, because essentially, I was having some conversations with some people today. If you go look at SMU's schedule, Go find me another loss, and they can't get into. I don't think they'll be able to get into the ACC championship game. So you'll have because if Miami runs the table, Miami and Clemson don't play in the regular season.
No, they don't. But
So
SMU plays one of them.
no, they
No,
don't.
all three don't play each other. You're right.
They all three don't play each other. In SMU's only loss was to BYU by two
Yeah.
points.
And
So
Georgia and Clemson's only loss was to Georgia.
so
they'll all three potentially be undefeated in the ACC.
and see, this is wherein lies the problem.
But I don't know what the tiebreaker would be there. Obviously, overall record, they would all have the same, or Miami would be undefeated.
Somebody, I was watching something today. I believe the tiebreaker in the ACC is common opponent record.
Okay.
So
it can't be common opponent record because it would be the same because they have the same common opponents, right?
Not all of them.
Between I see what you're saying.
I believe. Don't quote me on that. If somebody could go get me that, that would be great. But so we have a definite answer on that. But I'm not 100% sure. But you could have SMU undefeated. You could have Miami undefeated. You could have Clemson undefeated, all in the conference. Because if you look at resumes, schools like Ole Miss are going to be hurting, even if Ole Miss wins out, just for the simple fact of Clemson. Let's say Clemson loses to Miami, so their two losses are Clemson and Miami. BYU wins the Big 12. SMU's only losses to BYU, and Miami won the ACC. I don't see how you keep all three of them out. In my opinion, they could say, well, the ACC
very easily.
The ACC is weak, but you can't put a 3-loss team in.
No, but you can put a 2-loss team in.
But I don't think you're gonna have two 2-loss teams because you have
in what?
Missouri
in the Big 12 or in the SEC.
Because I think the Big 12 is going to get 2 in because herein lies another issue. BYU and Iowa State don't play each other.
Okay.
In the regular
they're both
season.
undefeated right now.
And they're both undefeated, and they play in the conference championship game. So you have 5. Okay. You have 5 of the. What would that be? You got BYU would get in Miami. Would get
if they both win the conference, and then 3 of the at-large bids.
3 of the at-large bids would be swallowed up by Clemson, SMU, and Iowa State. Let's say Iowa State loses to BYU.
Yeah, okay.
Because that puts the screws to the Big Ten. And
this is what you're going to get. And this is what I think. You're not going to get a 3-loss team in that scenario. I think there's going to be enough 2-loss teams that are in the Big Ten and SEC, though.
Well, let's look at this real quick because I looked at this all afternoon and I said, okay, we'll go with the teams that are on the bubble. We'll look at Ole Miss's the rest of their schedule. Ole Miss has Oklahoma. They got to go to Arkansas, which Tennessee.
Which Ole Miss already has 2 losses, right?
Yeah. So Ole Miss they have Oklahoma at Arkansas.
SEC, yeah.
Then they have to play Georgia at home. There's maybe your 3rd loss. And then they got to go. Yeah, they got to go to Gainesville, and then they have the Egg Bowl, in which Mississippi State is playing hard for the people out there that don't watch them every week. It was a game when they played Texas for half.
Yeah, I don't think Ole Miss is one of your teams that you need to worry about.
Because if Ole Miss goes to 3 losses, their season's kaput, in my opinion.
Yeah. So let's look at the SEC first, right? And so you're going to say what, Georgia or Texas wins it, right? Is the thought right now.
Yeah, and I think the two teams that play in the conference title game are a shoo-in.
Both in. But right now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams that have one loss in the SEC.
Yes.
Now Mizzou's probably out. They're going to lose more. Then you have Bama, who has 2 losses. So
Bama
that's 7 teams.
I think before we dive too deep into this, I think Bama Mizzou is an elimination game because
Mizzou's out. Whoever loses that is out. Yeah.
Because if Mizzou go even as a 2-loss team, if you look at their resume, they haven't beat anybody.
No, they're already ranked below a bunch of 2-loss teams.
Yeah, because they haven't beat anybody. Let's say they lose to Alabama. They have Oklahoma, not the greatest.
No,
you have South Carolina. Who knows what team's showing up that week?
Mm-hmm.
And then they got to go to Mississippi State, and then they have Arkansas. And Sam Pittman's coaching for his job. I think they get left out on sheer resume alone.
Yeah, even if they're a 2-loss team, that's fine. So you're going to have, ideally, Georgia or Texas wins the SEC, right? And they're a 1-loss team. The other one has 2 losses. They're both in. You have Texas A&M and LSU. Well, hold on.
Texas A&M and LSU play this week.
Yeah, I know. So one of them will have 2 losses, but that'll be their first conference loss.
Right. But Texas has to play Texas A&M at the end of the year.
Okay, so then Texas beats Texas A&M. That's their 3rd loss if they lose to LSU this week.
Yeah.
So they're out.
And then if you go to LSU, schedule.
They still play Georgia, right?
No. LSU doesn't play Georgia this year. They play Bama.
Oh, okay.
So after A&M, they get Bama, Florida, Vandy, Oklahoma.
So whoever wins the A&M LSU game is most likely going to end up a 2-loss team that gets in.
LSU could be playing for the conference championship because they have no SEC losses.
They'd have one after the Texas or the Bama game, let's say.
If Bama bites the bit this weekend, it's over.
Well, yeah, if they lose, they're out. They got to run the table, obviously.
Bama's got to run the table, but
if Bama finishes with 2 losses, they're in. If LSU finishes with 2 losses or A&M finishes with 2 losses, they're in. Georgia and Texas are in. There's 4 from the SEC right there, and that's without Tennessee.
But you think Alabama, this team, is going to go on the road at Death Valley at night and beat LSU?
No, but if they don't, LSU's in for sure.
LSU's in the conference championship.
Yeah. I'm just saying it depends on what Jalen Milroe shows up. But I'm saying that you're probably going to get 4 teams from the SEC.
I don't think so.
They're going to have to leave a 2-loss SEC team out then.
Missouri.
But okay, I'm not counting them. There's going to be 4 that actually matter. Like Georgia and Texas will be 1 or 2 losses. LSU will be 1 or 2 losses, or Texas A&M, whoever wins that game. So there's 3 teams right there. Unless Bama, I guess Bama could have 3 losses.
I think Texas wins out, but see, here's the issue. If Texas wins out and they beat A&M, A&M's done. A&M is to the side of
unless their only other losses LSU or Texas, right? If they lose to Notre Dame and Texas, they could still get in with 2 losses.
A&M could,
with
2, but they have to play LSU this week.
That's what I'm saying. Whoever wins that game is in.
Yeah, I would say whoever wins the LSU, unless there's a complete debacle.
Yeah, so you could say one of those is in of A&M and LSU, who are the 2 top teams in the conference right now based off conference record. Then Georgia and Texas, I'm saying both of them get in, right? So there's 3 teams in right there.
And I don't think you get another one in.
Unless Bama.
But Bama's got to play LSU.
Well, yeah, so let's say A&M.
That'd be
LSU No,
That'd be-
LSU beats A&M, right?
Yeah.
Then Bama beats LSU. LSU is still a 2-loss team that gets in.
Yeah. That's foreseeable.
Texas A&M beats LSU, and then Texas beats Texas A&M. A&M still a 2-loss team that gets in.
So
So
I think you
either
get
way, I think you're getting 3 to 4 teams from the SEC. Now let's look at the Big Ten real quick. I'm trying to make this quick. Oregon and Ohio
Yes.
State are probably in, right?
Yeah, because
I mean, unless Ohio State loses to Penn State, then Penn State's in. So you get 2 of those 3 are definitely in, probably all 3. If Iowa's only loss is to Ohio State, Indiana. Indiana's in. So you're looking at 3 or 4 teams from the Big Ten, 3 or 4 teams from the SEC.
I think the Big Ten gets 4.
Okay, so let's say 4 from the Big Ten, 3 from the SEC, right?
Mm-hmm.
1 from the Group of 5. That's 8 of the 12 teams. There's only 4 spots now. You can't get 2 Big 12. You can't get 2. You can't get 3 ACC. And I'm sorry, 11-1 or 10-2 in the Big Ten or SEC is going to be better than undefeated non-champion in the ACC.
Yeah, I think it comes down to resume, and if Clemson's your bubble team, and let's
no. Let's say Clemson and Miami are in, right? They play in the conference championship. They both get in. SMU's your bubble team.
But I think SMU's resume is better because they've played better
Than
teams.
who? Than Indiana's?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Because if you look at who Indiana's beat, they beat FIU, Western Illinois, UCLA, Charlotte, Maryland, Northwestern, and they killed Nebraska. They've got Washington, Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, Purdue.
Yeah. I mean, Michigan. I'm just based on the rankings right now, Indiana's in.
I think Indiana's in.
Over SMU, though.
Let me look at SMU's schedule real quick.
I got it right here. Nevada, UConn, BYU, TCU, Florida State, Louisville, Stanford, Duke, Pitt, Boston College, Virginia, Cal. It's weak. They have one ranked team.
Is that weaker than Indiana's schedule? I mean,
yeah.
Ohio State's the only real challenge on Indiana's schedule.
That's more than SMU had.
BYU won a conference, though.
Hypothetically, so did Ohio State.
Well, yeah.
But
I
would say what the argument's going to be is Nebraska, Michigan, Washington, Ohio State is better than Louisville, Duke, Pitt, BYU.
Remember, Pitt's undefeated right now.
Oh, I know. I understand that.
So I think they'll value Pitt if Pitt wins this week and keeps winning until they play Clemson and SMU, Pitt could be 9-3, and that's better than anything Indiana's played besides Ohio State, because Michigan, they're going to end up 6-6. Nebraska's cruising to 6-6. Washington's not very good.
Yeah, Michigan, you could make the argument for sure. I just think based off of the other thing you have to remember, it's all run by the TV. And the TV money goes to the Big Ten and the SEC.
Yeah. Looking at Penn State's schedule, they got to go to Wisconsin. They got Ohio State at home, Washington, Purdue, Minnesota, Maryland.
Yeah, Penn State's got to walk. I mean, if they don't overlook Wisconsin this week, all they have is Ohio State.
I don't know. Would you argue Penn State's schedule's not very good because Minnesota, Purdue?
No, they're the number 3 team in the country right now. If they have one loss, there's no chance they're not getting in.
That's an easy. That's because their non-conference was West Virginia, Bowling Green, Kent State, Illinois.
Yeah. Oh, I hear you. I'm not saying, but Penn State, I'm telling you, you're going to have to look at brands. You're going to have to look at everything. Penn State right now is the number 3 team in the country. If their only loss is to the number 4 team in the country, they're in.
I don't.
So you're going to get 3 to 4 from the SEC and Big Ten. 1 from the group of 5. That's going to leave 4 spots.
And what do you do with Notre Dame? Because Notre Dame ain't got no resume.
If they run the table, they're in too. And they might get in over a 1-loss Indiana because of program. And because Notre Dame has a better win than Indiana.
Wow. I don't know about that.
We were just arguing for SMU, and they don't have a quality win where Notre Dame will have a win over a potential playoff team.
If A&M bites the bit, you're gonna put 1-loss Notre Dame in with the Northern.
Here's going to be the argument, and I promise you, 9-3 A&M is better than 11-1 BYU. I promise you.
I think your argument with Indiana versus Notre Dame is Indiana's 1 loss would be to Ohio State.
Yeah.
And
it would be an argument. I think both get in, honestly.
See, that's
let's say here's the other thing. Notre Dame would be 11-1. Indiana's 11-1. SMU is undefeated or 11-1. No, they have to be undefeated. Clemson has 2 losses.
But to Miami and Georgia, though.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They're just going to count losses.
I don't think they're going to count losses.
Oh, I promise you. If you have 2 losses, you are going to be in after the undefeateds and the 1-loss teams, unless it's somebody like SMU.
Well, I get it. There's so many spots, and who knows what we're going to see out of the group of 5.
Yeah, they're getting 1 spot. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I just.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I mean, you're going to talk about Notre Dame, who has wins over ranked Navy, ranked Army, top 12 Texas A&M, and USC. That's going to be hard to keep them out. Yeah, they have a bad loss at home.
Okay, I got the bowl predictor odds right here.
Okay.
And I'll just read them in order. Georgia, 87% as of today.
Okay.
Oregon, 87%. Miami, 86%.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State, 79%.
Mm-hmm.
Texas, 78%.
Okay.
Penn State, 73%.
Okay.
And then it goes to the next group of teams.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee, 67%.
Mm-hmm. And that's not one we really talked about.
And, they're a wild card too.
Mm-hmm.
But all these teams all have to play Vandy.
I love how that's like a problem now.
That is a huge problem because before the season, everybody counted that. It's Vanderbilt.
They beat 1 team.
They beat Kentucky.
I said 1 team. I knew what I said.
They beat Kentucky. Kentucky beat Ole Miss. I know it's the transitive property thing, but
here we go.
But Indiana,
Ole Miss is a garbage can too.
Indiana, 64%.
See?
Notre Dame, 56%.
Yep.
Iowa State, 49%. Your first group of 5 team is Boise.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama 44, BYU 42, Clemson 41, LSU 40, Kansas State 37, A&M 33, SMU 31, Army 25%.
Yeah.
Ole Miss 22, UNLV 17, Missouri 16. For some reason, Washington State is on this list, and I have no idea why.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. But what that tells me is SMU, they take into account the chance that you actually win all your games, obviously. but SMU has a good chance to win all their games and still has that low of a chance to get in, they're out.
I think this is going to change drastically in the next
Probably. But
couple.
if the people at the top continue to win, which like I know that's not possible for Penn State and Ohio State to continue to win when they play in 2 weeks, but obviously one of them will drop a little, the other will go way up when they win.
Okay. All things being equal here, I know you're going to hate this. So Ohio State is going to beat Penn State. That is,
I'm pretty confident in that. Yeah.
Death taxes and all that.
Uh-huh.
What happens if Ohio State bites the bit to
Against
Indiana?
who? Okay.
Indiana.
Well, then Ohio State and Indiana are in.
And let's say Indiana loses in the conference championship game, do they still get in?
Yeah. Their one loss would be the number one team in the country. They have a win.
Well, they would have one. They would have one loss.
They'd be in. Uh-huh.
So you would have 3 from the Big Ten.
I'm saying at least 3.
I don't know if they'll put Penn State in.
If there are only losses to Ohio State, they might. I'm saying at least 3. You're getting at least 3 from the Big Ten, at least 3 from the SEC. One of those conferences is going to get 4.
I think the Big Ten is more likely to get 4.
Yeah, so however you want to dice it up, there's going to be 7 schools from the SEC and the Big Ten that get in. That leaves 5 spots. One of them is automatically taken by Group of 5. I promise you, there's only 4 spots up for grabs.
So at the Big
unless
Ten,
absolute chaos happens.
This is shaping up to what I think it is. It's shaping up to 2007, where everybody that got ranked number 1 for like 5 weeks in a row all lost.
Maybe.
Because
I think what it's shaping up for is for the NCAA to come out and go, hey, we want to expand it to 16.
Well, it's already going to 14 next year.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just going to be proof that, but whatever. Anyways, we spent a lot of time on that. But at the end of the day, I promise you, you can quote it, clip it, whatever. You're going to have 7 schools from the SEC and Big Ten that get in, 5 schools from everybody else, whether it's Notre Dame, a group of 5, 1 ACC or 2 ACC, 1 Big 12, or whether it's a group of 5 and 2 ACC, 2 Big 12, 3 ACC, 1 Big 12, whatever. It doesn't matter. There's going to be 7 schools from the Big Ten and SEC that get in. However, everything else dices up. I really don't care. I mean, I hope Notre Dame's one of the 5 that get in outside of that conference.
So what happens, at all things being equal, with the TV numbers?
Which they're not, but okay.
But have you seen the TV numbers for the Big Ten on CBS?
You're putting shitty fucking matchups. What do you expect?
Just saying.
I mean, I'm not shocked. I don't think the networks are shocked. I don't think they expected more. Like, they're getting the numbers they expected. Those are the numbers that those games would do on any network.
Yeah,
Ohio State has been the driver for TV viewing in the Big Ten for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Nobody else draws TV viewership. It's not like the TV networks that got involved, NBC, CBS, looked at the numbers from the conference and didn't have it broken down by school and went, if we put Indiana Rutgers on CBS at 7:30, that'll draw twice what it normally would. They know this. So it wasn't shocking to me. It's not something to be concerned about. That's just the level. I think it'll get better. I think when you have schools like Indiana stepping up, when you have schools like Oregon added to the conference, like, the viewership's going to be better. They have to get better at scheduling, though.
Well, I mean, this is the last thing, and then we'll move on to the Notre Dame segment. But
yeah,
what I'm saying is, when it comes to the TV thing, I'm concerned with the big noon kickoff deal because what I'm concerned about is there's no reason Penn State and Ohio State should be playing at noon. Absolutely not.
No,
Absolutely not.
Yeah, no. However, I mean, that's up to Fox.
Like Fox
Change
is
it.
killing their own product, in my opinion.
That's fine.
So I
They're
don't know.
paying a shit ton of money to kill it. So whatever. And when
I-
it dies, somebody else will swoop in and pay big money for it, and then they'll put it at 7:30 and do bigger numbers. I agree with you that game should not be at noon this year. Probably shouldn't be at noon ever. But
you're gonna have number 3 play 4?
Yeah. I mean,
Or
probably, unless something crazy happens.
Yeah, so the number 3 team and number 4 team are gonna play at noon.
Mm-hmm.
I bet one of the night games does better numbers than that.
Probably. Mm-hmm. I mean, luckily for me, soccer ends this weekend, so I don't have to worry about it that weekend. But yeah, like this weekend, my daughter's soccer game's at noon, so I wouldn't be able to watch the first half.
Because
I mean, I would watch it on my phone. Obviously, I'm not a Neanderthal, but
I see what the Big Ten is, or I see what Fox is doing.
Well, what they initially tried to do with the big noon kickoff is they didn't want to compete directly with ESPN and ABC for the night game. So they said, we'll put our biggest matchup at noon when they have lesser matchups. We'll get better numbers at noon instead of competing with Georgia and Tennessee or Georgia and Texas at night. Makes sense in theory, but if you want to elevate the league, when you have a marquee matchup, which is 2 versus 3, 3 versus 4, like NBC did it with Oregon, Ohio State. Now, granted, it was in Oregon, so a night game makes more sense. But you put that game at 7:30, and it's going to draw numbers because it has the biggest TV market program in the conference in Ohio State. It's a marquee matchup between 2 top 4 teams. Makes sense to do that. Fox could have done that, and I'd have to look at the slate for that weekend to see who it would be going up against, but I promise you there's not a better matchup.
A lot of people wanted to see that, which Colorado draws massive numbers.
Yeah, that's fine. Let them.
But I think they're going to get dog walked in the numbers race by LSU, Texas A&M.
Yeah, that Fox really messed up just by not having this as a night game. I'm looking at the slate of games. There's nothing.
There's nothing at noon.
There, not even that. There's nothing at night. Like Bama and Georgia both have bye weeks that week. Texas has a bye week. Like the other matchups are Miami and Duke. Tennessee versus Kentucky is a night game. Louisville, Clemson, Ole Miss, Arkansas. You got SMU, Pitt.
If they're both winning.
Florida, Georgia. No, Georgia doesn't have a bye week. They just play one of the worst teams in the country. Florida, Georgia, which is a 3:30, so you don't even have to compete with that. Yeah, there's no reason Ohio State, Penn State shouldn't be a night game. That is the absolute easiest marquee matchup of that weekend. It would draw massive numbers.
Don't be hating on bowl game Billy.
Bro, I'm so done with you in Florida.
Hey,
they suck. They're going to continue to suck.
I bet
they're done. They have no more wins other than Florida State.
I bet they'll be pretty good next year.
With a new coach, sure, yeah.
No. All right, Notre Dame time.
All right, we'll jump into it. Got Notre Dame, Georgia Tech this past weekend. I'm just going to say it, Duke. You were talking a little shit.
Yeah, Georgia Tech,
and
not very good.
I tried to tell you that. But Notre Dame's defense went out and did what I thought they would do.
Yeah.
Shut down Georgia Tech. Now, it was dicey in the first quarter. I was a little nervous. And then Notre Dame's offense did exactly what I thought they would do. Run the ball.
And it was I think that's the recipe going forward. I think you throw it when you need to and just run the shit out of the ball.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I mean, when you look at it, they passed for 217 yards, Notre Dame did, and they ran the ball for 170. So it wasn't like it was just running the ball. They passed efficiently. The problem is they didn't throw any touchdowns, which they never do. So that wasn't surprising. They did throw an interception, which is less than ideal. And they still, I can't figure it out, man. This is what makes me like not nervous. I'm not nervous for really any games the remainder of the year for Notre Dame. I think they'll be able to control the ball, run their defense, and continue to win games. But if they do get in the playoff, their third down efficiency is so goddamn bad. I mean, 4 of 12 on third downs. You're going 33%. Like, come on. What are we doing? 385 total yards, interception thrown, averaging just over 4 yards a carry. Like, it's just that their offense has potential to be good, and they just can't figure it out. Now, the defense gave up 333 yards, which is more than I thought. And a lot of that was passing, which was wild. 270 yards they gave up passing, but obviously Benjamin Morrison's out for the year.
Morrison.
I get it. But they shut them down when they needed to. So this game was really not ever in question. I mean, first quarter was 7-0 Georgia Tech. I was a little nervous. I was like, God damn it, if Duke's right, I'm going to be pissed. But ultimately, they went out. They made plays. They had the 2 interceptions. The defense was opportunistic, made plays, held them to 2.2 yards a rush. If this run defense can do that the rest of the year, they're going to face 2 really good running attacks in Army and Navy. And Army and Navy deceptively good at throwing the ball too, by the way. Not really.
Here I come with skeptical hippo.
Yeah, of course.
Now you played in a spread offense.
Yes, I did.
So the teams that traditionally struggle with Army and Navy, Notre Dame normally dunks on them at the beginning of the year because, see, this was something that I believe me and Sam talked about this because he went to the Ireland game when we went to the last show. Sam from OVE with the Torg.
Torg, yeah.
Catch them at 3:00. Torg gave us a shout out the other day too. So
yeah, absolutely. Love the OVE podcast on the Menace to Sports channel, or look up OVE podcast on YouTube. They're great.
So Sam was asking because we were talking. We were talking about shows and stuff, and Sam was asking me. He's like, "Well, what do you think about Notre Dame not playing Week 1 in Ireland against Navy?" And I kind of thought about it, and it's like, man, typically the people that struggle with Navy, or when they come off of after they got done playing a week, not like a bye week to prepare you because the whole triple option thing. But I think it helps that both games are close together and they run a similar style of offense.
Now, historically, Notre Dame plays Army and Navy later in the year. Like, that's just normal. Normally, it's late October, early November.
But
last year, obviously, that was 2 years ago when they were in Ireland. I don't remember, but it was 2 years ago.
No, it was last year. Sam.
Oh, maybe I don't. Anyways,
Sam Hart.
But yeah, normally they play them later in the year, and obviously Notre Dame has struggled against Navy at times. Specifically Navy. Army not so much, but Army is better now than they have been. I don't think it's an issue, honestly. It shouldn't be. Now, the issue you're going to have is Notre Dame's depth is being tested significantly right now because of injuries on both sides of the ball. But ultimately, you're more talented. You're better coached. If you just go out there and you play fundamental sound football and know your responsibilities, you're going to make enough plays. And that's all they have to do. I played in a spread offense in high school. I played on a defense that faced the veer option once a year, maybe twice. And those weeks were always hell because I was a strong safety and I had pitch man every goddamn play. And it was annoying as hell. But if I just run to the pitch man, there's no chance that guy is getting past me. I'm hitting him whether he gets the ball or not, and I'm trusting my defense to do the rest of their responsibilities and take care of dive to quarterback and the quarterback to pitch and all the other stuff. Obviously, much higher level when you're talking about college, Power 5 college football like this, but it goes back to fundamentals, and they struggled with tackling. And if you miss tackles against Army and Navy, it can be a long day because that's going to be a quick game. Both these squads are going to try to control the football, and Notre Dame's going to try to control the football. So these are going to be quick games. So a couple mistakes could compound very quickly.
Is this, and first and foremost, shout out to Army and Navy for everything that they do on top of playing college football. We don't want to disrespect that at all by any means. You got the
I sure did, Richie, and I'm still pissed about that personal foul. That's bullshit.
We'll try to get this rolling here, but one of the big things is that I think that Notre Dame could run into a depth issue, like you were saying, because if Army and Navy can get it out on the edge and run at the corners, if you have one or two guys go down, that's not good.
No, their corner room is really light right now, obviously, with the transfer and the injury to Morrison. But you can't worry about that. I don't think typically injuries aren't going to be a big issue at that position in that kind of game. Like, yeah, obviously, if you use poor form, make a tackle, you get hurt. But I wouldn't worry too much about injuries. As far as I would worry more about the younger guys missing tackles and not wrapping up, not doing the little things right. But at the end of the day, and we'll break down the Navy game later this week because I know that is coming up here. But I think it's going to be a test. And the thing is it's not a test that really helps you in any way because it's the only – I mean, they face it twice because they play both, but it's like taking a test on something you're never going to use again. Like when I took a calculus final, my last calculus final, like I knew I wasn't going to be an engineer. I wasn't trying to be. I haven't used calculus since, but I had to pass the test.
Yeah, and my final thing is diving into the Navy thing is do not let this team hang around.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you're going to need to do what the defense has done a pretty good job of, and that is play opportunistic. When they make mistakes, you have to capitalize on them. And if the offense makes mistakes, you could be in for a long game. So,
yeah, that's where we'll leave it today. We'll have Richie on tomorrow. Carter will be back Friday. Not sure what time we're going to roll. I don't know if we're going to roll with a morning show or a evening show. We'll get that hammered out.
We'll figure it out. Yeah.
And then we'll have the graphics and everything out on Twitter. And then with that being said, if you guys enjoy this content, please hit the like and subscribe button and help this channel grow. And Carter, any closing thoughts?
No, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Like Duke said, like, subscribe, share, retweet, all that crap. Again, just a reminder, December 7th at Cigario Lounge in Hubbard, Ohio. If you're in the Hubbard, Ohio area, if you know anybody, if you want to just make a trip up, come hang out with us. We'll be smoking cigars, enjoying the day, watching some championship Saturday football. I believe it'll be all three of us. Duke, you're gonna be there, right? You're gonna make it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it'll be all three of us, me, Duke, Richie, hanging out, just chilling, and we'll do a live show from there. We can do some Q&A with anybody in the audience that maybe wants to ask a question, and then obviously we'll interact with the chat like we always do.
So, with that being said, we'll catch you here tomorrow night. All right, everybody, have a good night.